Hi guys, welcome to part 8. In this video we'll be making the last 2 pages in the album, and we are starting with November. So get the two 12 by 12 sheets and the 8 by 8 sheets and start cutting into them. As always, remove the white strips and then take the 12 by 12 design sheet and cut it at 8 inches. Turn it so the left side is up and cut at 8 again. And you probably know already how to cut the cut apart sheets by now, so I am just gonna speed through it real quick. You know, all of the pages are cut the exact same way. The only difference is the pattern on the paper. So I'm sure that you got this. Now for this piece, I am cutting off 2 3/4 from the bottom of this strip. And then we have all of our pieces. Now we just need the cardstock. And I am making 3 piles, one for BCD, one for EFG, and one for HIJ. And then I am putting my pattern paper in each pile. And again, we have done this a couple of times now, so you probably already know where your pieces go. But we're gonna start with the flap. And you can just go ahead and fold at the score lines and ink all of the edges. And this time the flap opens up, so we want the hinge to be on top. And then we are gonna figure out which square we want in the front and which we want in the back. And I am gonna go with this one. So I am gluing down the sign to a piece of cardstock from my scraps and cutting off the excess. And then I'm gluing down the square to the D piece to make the closure. And I am adding my glossy accents on the small details on the sign as well, of course, and then we'll leave that to dry. And while that is drying, you can add your adhesive to the background paper for the front and place it on the flap with the hinge on top. And then we can move on to the pocket page. So again, fold at the score lines and ink all of the edges. And then put together the H piece and this little orange piece to make a 8 by 8 background. Then wrap the eye piece around and glue down the sides. And make sure you can't see the H piece from the front. Then you're gonna glue down the border strip, and we wanna leave a small amount of white paper over that. And then the J piece. Glue down the sides and the bottom and burnish that with your bone folder. And then we're gonna add our magnet, and we're gonna use this chipboard. So place a small piece of score tape where you want your magnet to be, and then put on your magnet. And now you can glue on the last piece of paper for your front pocket or middle pocket. Just place that over the magnet. And then throw on the other magnet, like so, and add a piece of score tape. And then add your chipboard. And the magnet should stick, so you can glue down the chipboard to a piece of paper bag. Burnish that good and cut off all the excess paper and ink the edges. And then we're gonna do some fuzzy cutting. And I am cutting out this bird with the weird flower. I don't know what kind of flower it is, but it was not easy to cut out. You know, I want to have as many details as possible with my fuzzy cutting, but I don't want to, ruin the paper. But I'm trying to be careful. And ink the edges as good as you can. And then we're gonna add a small amount of glue to the bottom and to the side of the fuzzy cut. Just enough so that it can stick, but still be able to hold something behind it. Then we're gonna add some glossy accents, so put something behind the flowers so you don't accidentally glue it down to the paper underneath. And while that is drying, we are gonna move on to the inside of the flap. So ink all of the edges on your paper, and then take your cardstock and fold the score lines and ink that as well. And then you can glue E and F together to make your pocket flap. Just add a little glue to the top and bottom hinge and press that down, and then add a thin line of glue on the inside at the bottom of the pocket so you can close that up. And be careful not to get any glue on your hinge, and burnish that with your cloth. And then you can take the calendar card and glue that onto the front of your pocket flap. And you want the hinge to be on the left side. And then you're gonna flip that around and take that green piece and glue that onto the top of the inside. And then the G piece, and add a thin line of glue on the sides and on the bottom, and then place that on the bottom of the inside of the flap, creating a little pocket. And burnish that with your cloth. Then we're going to cut a line in the left side of the 8x8 paper. You want to cut 7/8 from the edge and from the top and bottom. Then ink the edges inside and push in your pocket flap. And then we're going to add some glue under the hinge on the other side, gluing down our flap, and burnish that with your bone folder. Then we're going to find the middle. Just place your ruler from corner to corner and place a small piece of tape and a magnet. Then flip that around and throw on a magnet on the other side. Add a piece of tape to that, and then close up your pocket flap, and the magnet should stick. And then you can glue on the last piece of paper to cover up that magnet, like so. And that is done. And then we can make all the inserts, the folder, the tag, and the week cards. And we can take out our corner punch and take off the corners of the cards, and then we can start inking everything. Get out all of your scraps and sort them out. You know, the card and the tags goes directly in the pocket, so we're gonna put them in a pile. And I am just trying to find all the stamps here. And these two pieces are for the closure, so we are just gonna put them up here. And then let's take the pieces for our tag and folder, and then we're starting with the tag. You want to score the little strip of border piece on each side of the tag, then ink the edges on that and the little square, and then wrap the small border piece around and glue down the sides and the bottom as well. And then you can glue down the square and put that in the middle of your tag. And then you can add some glue to the back of the tag and put that onto your craft tag. And then we're going to do the folder. First, we're going to cut this down to size and ink the edges. And then we're going to take this sticker and ink the edges on that as well. And place that sticker in the middle of the folder. And then we can place that small border strip on the bottom of the folder. Then you're going to choose a stamp and put that in the corner a little crooked. And if it goes over your sticker a little, it's okay. Then you can add your week cards, put them in the folder. And then we're just going to ink the edges on the card and tags so they are ready. And once you've inked all the stamps as well, you can put 3 of them in the pocket on the tag. And the last 2 goes on the front. And we are just going to cut off this red sign from this strip. And then we can ink the edges on that as well. And the rest of the strip I'm going to put together with this other piece here to make a photo mat. I am putting them together with a piece of score tape and cutting just a teeny tiny bit of each end. And then I punched off the corner with my corner punch and glued it onto a piece of cardstock from my scraps after I've inked the edges. And then I took this sign and added my glue after I inked the edges on that as well, and placed that at the top of the photo mat. And then I just cut off the excess cardstock, punched off the corners and inked the edges, and done. So now all the glossy accents is dry. So we're gonna glue in the inside of the big flap and make our closure. So if we're starting with the inside, this opens up. So we are gonna have the hinge at the bottom this time. And then cover your paper in glue and tape, and then place that in the middle of your flap and burnish with your bone folder. Then we're gonna make the closure. So take your square you want to be on the inside and place a magnet in the middle of that. And for some reason my phone stopped recording, but just like all the other pages, you're gonna place the closure arm under the flap and add some glue, and then just close it up to the piece with your magnet on. And then you can add some glue to the back of that and glue that onto the square with the glossy accents. And then you can take these two pieces and put right up against the squares. And then it should look something like this. Place it on your flap and take your little red sign and the two stamps. And then we're gonna add some glue to the back of the stamps and put them a little crooked, overlapping each other. And then take your foam tape and place 3 pieces on the back of your big sign. And place that sign between your closure and the top of your flap. Then cut off 2 smaller pieces of foam tape for the little red sign, 1 for each end, and place that on the closure, like so. And then add some score tape to your hinge on the flap and also behind the pocket page, on the edges, and a couple of strips across, and also of course on the closure. And then find your page and add some glue. We are starting with the big flap. And then place it so the score line lines up with the top of the page. Then place your closure and add some glue to the little flap at the bottom and tuck that under the big flap. The score line on that should match with the bottom of the page as well. And then the pocket page, put that in the middle of the page and burnish, and be careful with the fussy cut. And then take all of your inserts, placing the tag in the middle pocket and the folder in the pocket flap, like so, here, and the photo mat in the smaller pocket. The tag, the big card goes in the big pocket behind, and the tags goes in the front, 2 under the magnetic chipboard and 2 in the little fussy cut pocket. And that is it for page 11. Moving on to page 12, the last one, the last sheets in the collection. These are always the hardest to get out of the 8x8, I think. And remember to save the cover. We are going to use this piece, so don't throw it out. Cut off all the white strips and take the 12x12 design sheet and cut it at 8 inches. Then turn it so the right side is up and cut again at 8 inches. Then do the cut apart sheets, exactly as we did all the other ones. I bet you could do this in your sleep by now, so I am just gonna speed through it. Then I could just take this second to thank you all for all the support. I am really excited to be a Graphic 45 brand ambassador, and I hope that you look forward to all of my upcoming projects. And now for all the cardstock, put that in 3 piles and sort out the pattern paper. We're gonna start with this one again. So fold the cardstock at the score lines and ink the edges. Yeah, you know the drill. Then take the December sign and glue it onto a piece of cardstock from your scraps. And cut off the excess cardstock and ink the edges. And then we can just put the background onto the flap. And the hinge has to be on top for the flap to open up. And we're going to go with this square for the front. So we're going to glue that onto the D piece from the cardstock. And then we can add some glossy accents. The sign doesn't really have any flowers, so I just added it to some of the smaller details. And while that is drying, we're going to make the pocket page. So ink all of your pieces and fold the score lines. And put the green piece on top of the H piece, creating an 8x8 sheet. Wrap the eyepiece around it and add your glue and fold down the flaps behind it. Then add the border strip under the punched out border. Then the J piece. Glue down the sides and the bottom behind the page. And then take out this chipboard and add a magnet on the middle pocket and another magnet. And then a piece of score tape on top and add your chipboard. And then you can glue down the last piece of paper to your middle pocket. Then glue the chipboard down to the last piece of paper bag and cut it out. And then we're gonna fuzzy cut this bird. And a couple of flowers. I chose to separate these to put some flowers on each side of the bird. Not that this didn't look good, I just liked it better the other way, like so. Glue the pieces together. Be careful not to add too much glue so it sticks to your pocket underneath. Then ink the edges and add a little bit of glue to the parts that hit the bottom and the side, and press that down and add your glossy accents to the details. I'm only adding it to the flowers and the little, what's it called, bead, the the mouth on the bird. Anyway, for the inside of the big flap, fold the pieces for the pocket flap at the score lines and glue them together. And glue down the bottom of the pocket and burnish with your cloth. Then you can ink the edges on your pocket flap and on all of the other pieces. Glue down the calendar card to the outside of your pocket flap with the hinge on the right side. Flip that over and take this red piece and glue it on top. Then the G piece, thin line of glue on the sides and on the bottom, creating a little pocket. And then we're just going to place this in here until we've added our magnet. First, we're going to cut a line in our paper, 7/8 from the edge and the top and bottom, and we are cutting on the right side of the paper. And when you've inked the edges on the inside, you can put in your pocket flap and glue down the hinge on the other side. Use your ruler to find the middle of your paper and add a piece of score tape and a magnet on top of that. Then flip it back around and throw on another magnet. Add another piece of tape and close up your pocket flap, and the magnet should stick so that you can glue on the last piece of paper. Like so. And now we can cover that in score tape and add our glue. And then place it on the flap with the hinge at the bottom. And then we can get started on the closure. Place a magnet in the middle of your square, at the back side of course. And then put the closure under the flap and add some glue to the end. And close that up and it should stick to the square. And I could not at the time continue because my glossy accents was not dry, so I just moved on to all the inserts. Punch off the corners of the wheat cards and ink the edges on everything. Then sort out all of your scraps. Separate all of the stamps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then cut off this little red sign, like so. And then we're going to use these 3 pieces to make a little photo mat. So put them together with some score tape. And burnish with your bone folder. Cut off the ends and punch off the corners. Ink the edges and glue it onto a piece of cardstock from your scraps, leaving a bit of the white around the edge. Then burnish with your cloth or bone folder and cut off the excess cardstock. Punch off the corners and ink the edges again. And then cut off this sign. Punch off the corners of that as well. Ink the edges and glue that down. I'm placing mine at the top of the photo mat. And then for the tag, place your border strip on a scoreboard under the die cut tag and score up against each side of the tag. Ink these 2 pieces and then wrap the border piece around. Add some glue to the tiny flaps and press them down behind the tag, and then add a thin line of glue to the bottom of the piece and wipe that down, creating a little pocket, and then glue down this little square in the middle of the tag, and then add some glue to the back of the die cut tag and place it on your craft tag. And then you can add 3 stamps and the tag is done. And now for the folder. Cut the border strip down to size and take this sticker. We are also going to use the inside, but 1 piece at a time. Ink the edges and place that in the middle, and then remember the inside of the sticker. Then ink the edges on the little border strip and place that at the bottom of the folder. It's okay if it is a little over the sticker. And then place a stamp in the corner and put in your wheat cards. And now we just need the card and the 4 tags. Cutting off the corners on this one and punching off to make the round corners on the other one and inking the edges. And now the glossy accents is finally dry, so we can finish the closure. It's pretty simple. You just need to glue these 2 pieces together, like so. Of course, you have to make sure that they none of them is gonna be upside down. Then you can take these 2 pieces and glue one onto each side up against the sign paper, like so. And then take the last 2 stamps and add some glue and place them on the closure, a little crooked, overlapping each other and sticking out just a bit. And then take your foam tape and cut off 2 small pieces for the small sign. And then 3 pieces for the December sign. The small sign goes on the closure. I'm placing mine here. And the December sign goes over the closure. Now add some square tape to the hinges of your closure and the big flap. And remember to burnish that with your bone folder. Then find the very last page in your album, and that is the inside of the cover. And we're starting with the big flap. Add some glue to the hinge and place it so the score line lines up with the top of the white cardstock. And burnish. And then take the closure and add some glue on the hinge. And then fold it under the flap and just close it up, and then it should stick to where you want it to be. Now wait with the pocket page because we want to go into the cover and we might need to cover something up. So we'll glue it down after we do the cover. But we can still put all of our stuff into the pockets. So the tags goes under the chipboard magnet and into the fuzzy cut pocket. And the card goes in the big pocket and the tag goes in the middle pocket. The folder goes into our pocket flap and the photo mat goes inside to the little pocket. And that was page 12. Guys, we are almost at the end. That was the last page. And see how chunky this is. It's a good thing that we're gonna add a belt so it can expand. But guys, in the next and last video of this tutorial, we're gonna make the cover. Thanks for watching my tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell to be notified about my upcoming videos. Happy crafting!